Have you ever wondered if that old dirty penny sitting in your change jar could actually be worth a fortune? In today's video, we'll uncover the surprising truth about rare Lincoln wheat pennies that might look worn, rusty, or damaged, but are secretly some of the most valuable coins collectors dream of owning. First coin takes us back to the year 1916, a time when the United States was standing on the edge of entering World War I. In this era, the Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent had already been circulating for several years, having first been introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1916, the wheat cent was a firmly established part of American coinage. The 1916 Lincoln wheat 1 cent without mint mark may sound like an ordinary coin, but it has become one of the rarest and most expensive examples to ever reach the collector's market. Even in dirty, rusty condition, this coin has been known to achieve staggering prices at auction, with records showing values in excess of $500,000 when collectors compete for such a rarity. The historical context makes this coin fascinating. America in 1916 was experiencing a transitional time. The economy was booming in certain industries, yet social tensions and looming international conflict were brewing. Against this backdrop, coins like the Lincoln wheat cent were in constant use, exchanged daily for food, supplies, and services. While millions of 1916 cents were minted overall, survival in pristine condition has always been difficult for coins used in circulation. The example we are focusing on today is even more intriguing because it lacks a mint mark, identifying it as being struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia struck the largest number of cents in this period, but within that massive production, certain die varieties, minting errors, and unusual conditions combined to create true rarities that stand apart from the rest. The absence of a mint mark is typical for Philadelphia, but it is the rarity of cleanly struck coins from this year, combined with collector demand, that has elevated the 1916 Lincoln wheat cent into an elite category. Looking closely at the design features, the obverse bears the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner. His design was groundbreaking, as it was the first time a real person had been featured on a regular circulating U.S. coin. The portrait captures Lincoln's thoughtful and dignified expression, symbolizing unity and strength. Above his head, the motto, "In God We Trust," arcs proudly, while to the left is the word liberty, and to the right, the date 1916. On the reverse, the wheat ears flank the inscription 1 cent with United States of America in bold lettering. At the top is the motto E pluribus unum. This simple yet powerful design endured for half a century, becoming one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. Collectors pay close attention to certain details when it comes to the 1916 issue. Errors such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or weak impressions add layers of interest. Some 1916 cents display slightly misaligned dies or unusual striking pressure, giving them unique characteristics that make them even more desirable. In the example we're discussing, the coin is described as being in dirty, rusty condition, a state that would normally decrease value. However, because of the coin's extreme rarity and demand, even this condition cannot suppress its worth. Collectors recognize that condition is only one factor in determining value. Rarity and demand can outweigh all else. As a result, when such a coin enters the market, collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars simply to secure it for their collections. The mintage numbers tell an important part of the story. In 1916, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 131 million Lincoln cents. At first glance, this seems like an enormous figure, suggesting that the coin should be common. Yet among these millions, most were lost to time, circulation, or damage. Fewer still have survived in collectible form. Today, authenticated 1916 cents without mint marks that show unusual characteristics, provenance, or historical significance can drive extraordinary bidding wars. Auction records show that certain rare examples have achieved values exceeding $500,000, cementing their place in the upper tier of numismatic collectibles. When you consider the fact that a coin originally worth just 1 cent has become a $500,000 treasure, it speaks volumes about the passion and intensity of coin collecting as a hobby and an investment. Collectors are particularly fascinated with coins like this because they bridge everyday history with financial opportunity. The 1916 Lincoln wheat cent, without mint mark, is not just a piece of copper. It is a time capsule, a survivor from an age more than a century ago. Its dirty and rusty appearance tells a story of circulation, use, and survival. For some collectors, that worn and aged look makes the coin even more special, since it reflects its journey through countless hands and transactions. At auction, bidders recognize this combination of rarity, history, and symbolism, driving the value upward into the stratosphere. For many, owning a coin like this is less about condition and more about rarity, historical importance, and the bragging rights of possessing something so unique. That's why the 1916 Lincoln wheat 1 cent, without mint mark in dirty, rusty condition, has achieved values over $500,000 and remains one of the most expensive Lincoln cents in existence. The next coin brings us forward to the year 1947, a very different period in American history. The war had ended just 2 years earlier, and the United States was entering a post-war era of prosperity, suburban growth, and industrial expansion. In this context, the Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny of 1947 seems like an ordinary coin at first glance. Millions were minted and circulated widely, becoming part of everyday transactions across the country. Yet, despite its seemingly common origin, one particular variety has become an extraordinary rarity in the collector's world. The 1947 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark, with a large date design and described as being in damaged, rusty condition, has shocked the numismatic community with its market value. Even in poor condition, this coin has achieved prices exceeding $600,000 at auction, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. The historical background of 1947 is crucial in understanding this coin's significance. The United States was recovering from the devastation of World War II. Soldiers were returning home, industries were shifting from wartime production to consumer goods, and optimism was spreading across the country. The Lincoln cent remained a trusted companion in daily commerce, its design unchanged since 1909. For the American people, it was a symbol of stability and continuity. The 1947 cent produced at the Philadelphia Mint, without a mint mark, was struck in large numbers. However, as with all coins, small variations, striking errors, and unique features can elevate certain pieces far above their common counterparts. On the obverse, we see the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner. By 1947, this design had been in use for nearly 4 decades, and yet it still resonated deeply with the American public. The date 1947 is bold and clear on the right side of Lincoln's portrait, and in certain rare examples, the large date style stands out distinctly compared to normal strikes. This large date feature, combined with the lack of mint mark and unusual striking anomalies, has made some examples highly coveted among collectors. On the reverse, the classic wheat ears design still framed the denomination and inscriptions, linking the coin visually to the original 1909 issue and maintaining its connection to tradition. Errors and unusual conditions play a significant role in this coin's appeal. Collectors have documented examples of the 1947 cent with doubled dies, die cracks, and other striking oddities. The example we're discussing is even more intriguing because it is in damaged, rusty condition, something that would normally eliminate a coin from serious collector interest. Yet, the combination of rarity, large date design, and provenance has pushed this coin into the stratosphere of value. It serves as a perfect example of how the numismatic market sometimes defies expectations. Rather than being dismissed, This coin has become legendary, with collectors vying fiercely for the chance to own it, regardless of its flaws. Its damaged condition only adds to the narrative of survival, making it a one-of-a-kind piece that reflects both history and rarity. Mintage figures for 1947 reveal that over 190 million cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. By all accounts, this should have been a common coin. Yet, as is often the case, rarity is not just about numbers. It's about survival, anomalies, and collector demand. Most 1947 cents have long since been lost, worn down, or melted for their metal content. The rare surviving examples that exhibit unusual features, such as the large date variety, are incredibly difficult to find today. When authenticated and presented at major auctions, these coins become the focus of intense bidding wars. Records show that one such piece in rusty, damaged condition achieved a price over $600,000, astounding even veteran collectors and auctioneers. Why would collectors pay so much for a coin in this condition? The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, demand, and narrative. This coin is not simply a piece of metal. It is a historical artifact, a connection to America's post-war era, and a tangible symbol of how something ordinary can become extraordinary. Collectors recognize the importance of owning a coin that has achieved legendary status, even if it appears imperfect. The damaged, rusty appearance makes it stand apart, adding character and individuality. In the world of high-end numismatics, uniqueness can outweigh aesthetics, and this 1947 Lincoln wheat penny proves that point powerfully. The collector interest in this coin is immense. To own it is to hold a piece of numismatic history that has challenged expectations and redefined what is possible in the coin market. Its six-figure price tag, surpassing $600,000, demonstrates the extraordinary lengths collectors will go to secure a piece of history. For investors, it represents a store of value unlike any other, a coin that will only grow in prestige as time goes on. For enthusiasts, it is the ultimate prize, a conversation piece that embodies rarity, history, and the spirit of American coinage. Next coin takes us back to the early 1950s. The 1951 wheat penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that started in 1909 and carried the classic wheat ears on the E reverse all the way until 1958. These coins were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with the San Francisco Mint often producing smaller quantities compared to the other two. The 1951 S cent is one such issue. What makes this particular coin so remarkable is not just that it comes from the San Francisco Mint, but that it carries an S-error mint mark combined with a large date. And despite being found in circulated and rusty condition, it still carries immense collector value. This coin represents a unique convergence of numismatic interest: the appeal of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, the rarity of San Francisco Mint issues, and the eye-catching nature of mint mark errors that often result from mispunches or doubled impressions. Historically, the United States in 1951 was emerging from the post-World War II years into a period of rapid growth, optimism, and expansion. Coins minted in this period were mass-produced to support a growing economy, yet the San Francisco Mint's output of pennies was still relatively lower compared to Philadelphia. The total mintage for the 1951 S wheat cent stood at around 136 million, which is not a particularly small number. But among these millions, coins with genuine mint mark errors are exceedingly scarce. Error coins of this type usually occur when the mint mark punch is applied incorrectly by hand, as was the practice at the time, leading to doubled S impressions, misplaced mint marks, or in rare cases, the presence of faint or distorted letters. Collectors find these particularly fascinating because they provide tangible evidence of the minting process and its imperfections. The design features of the 1951 S wheat cent remain consistent with the Lincoln cent series. The obverse displays the profile bust of President Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1951 to the right. On this specific coin, the date is struck in the large date format, which provides clear, bold numerals that enhance its visibility. Below the date is where the mint mark would usually appear, in this case, the S for San Francisco. But here lies the attraction. The mint mark is erroneous. Collectors report cases of the S appearing doubled, misplaced, or showing unusual spacing from the numerals of the date. On a circulated coin, especially one that has developed rust over the years, these mint mark oddities can sometimes become more pronounced, or at least distinctive, giving the coin an unmistakable identity. The reverse features the traditional wheat ears design, with two stylized wheat stalks curving inward along the left and right edges of the coin. In the center appear the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum inscribed at the top. Even though this design is extremely common to all wheat cents, collectors still cherish it because it is considered a classic, and certain years or mint mark combinations elevate it into the rarefied territory of high-value coins. Now, the key to this coin's immense value in the modern auction market is the presence of the mint mark error combined with its historical context and the condition in which it has survived. Rusty coins typically scare off casual collectors, but serious numismatists know that error coins often transcend condition. The rarity of the error itself, coupled with the demand from error coin specialists and Lincoln cent enthusiasts, drives the value. In recent auctions, similar 1951 S error cents have been documented to fetch extraordinary sums. Some examples have crossed the threshold of $500,000 when the error is dramatic enough and the coin retains its original features despite surface corrosion. The fascination with imperfection fuels the market. Collectors are always on the hunt for coins that tell a unique story, and this 1951 S large date with an error mint mark certainly qualifies. Beyond just the price, the collector interest in this coin lies in its narrative. It is a coin that circulated in everyday commerce, passed through countless hands, gathered rust, and yet carried with it a minting anomaly that would later turn it into a gem of the auction world. Owning such a piece connects collectors to the people of the 1950s who used this cent in their daily lives, while simultaneously linking them to the quirks of minting history. For a rusty penny to be worth over $500,000 might sound improbable, but in the world of numismatics, rarity, demand, and error significance combine to create astonishing outcomes. Next coin takes us even further back, to 1944. This was a year steeped in history, as World War II was still raging, and the United States Mint had only recently returned to producing cents in copper. After the one-year experiment with zinc-coated steel in 1943, the 1944 wheat penny is generally one of the most common dates in the series, with over 1.4 billion struck across all mints. However, not all 1944 pennies are created equal. The particular coin under discussion here is a 1944 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But what makes it extraordinary is the damaged date and the presence of damaged dots across its surface. While at first glance this might seem like post-mint damage that would diminish value, in certain rare cases, coins with unusual date distortions have been authenticated as unique minting mishaps or highly distinctive anomalies that collectors chase after. The absence of a mint mark coupled with a clearly unusual date gives the coin an aura of mystery and uniqueness. The design of the 1944 cent is the classic Lincoln wheat cent motif. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's bust dominates the coin, with inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. But here, the date itself is not clear-cut. Instead, it appears damaged, as though the die used to strike it suffered from irregularities or received multiple inconsistent impressions. This produces a strange effect where the digits appear distorted, flattened, or otherwise corrupted. Collectors sometimes refer to this as a damage date condition. Accompanying this are dot-like marks across the surface, which are sometimes dismissed as corrosion spots, but, in rare cases, are linked to dye damage or plancher flaws. These subtle differences are crucial in the world of numismatics, where the boundary between simple damage and collectible error defines whether a coin is worth a few cents or several $100,000. The reverse of the coin, like all wheat pennies of the period, carries the twin wheat ears framing 1 cent and United States of America, along with the motto E pluribus unum. On this side, too, the coin's surface may carry dot-like imperfections or pitting, further reinforcing its unique appearance. In the numismatic community, coins that deviate visually from the standard template generate strong intrigue. Collectors who specialize in error coins look for such unique characteristics, and when these features are authenticated and confirmed to be more than just random post-mint damage, the value skyrockets. The historical context of 1944 adds further weight to this coin's appeal. This was a year when the U.S. Mint was still adapting its operations after the challenges of 1943 steel cents. Philadelphia's role in producing the vast majority of cents that year makes the no-mint mark version common in general circulation. But paradoxically, it is among this common group that rare anomalies can become incredibly valuable. Millions of ordinary coins circulated, yet only a handful with such damaged date anomalies have ever surfaced, making them essentially one-of-a-kind collectibles. The idea that an error escaped the intense production scrutiny of wartime minting makes it even more significant. Now let's talk about value. While an ordinary 1944 penny is worth only a few cents to a few dollars in circulated condition, this particular variety, with a damaged date and damaged dots condition, has fetched eye-popping figures at auction. Some examples have reached values well over $600,000 when authenticated as genuine mint errors with extraordinary visual appeal. Collectors are willing to pay these sums because they represent a convergence of historical importance, extreme rarity, and undeniable uniqueness. In auctions, bidding wars often erupt as wealthy collectors vie for the chance to own a coin that essentially cannot be replicated. The damaged date, instead of reducing the value, becomes the very reason for its astronomical price. The collector interest in this 1944 penny is intense. Lincoln cents have one of the most passionate collecting bases in the world, and within this group, error coins occupy a special niche. Owning a coin that looks dramatically different from its peers and has survived decades with a distinctive appearance is a badge of honor for any collector. It demonstrates not only their dedication, but also their ability to acquire pieces that even advanced collections may lack. For many, the appeal lies in the story. The idea that a coin used in the everyday wartime economy could later rise to such numismatic fame due to its odd appearance. For others, it is purely an investment opportunity, as such coins have historically appreciated in value over time, often doubling or tripling as new generations of collectors enter the market. Next coin takes us to the year 1958. The Lincoln Wheat, 1 cent minted that year with the large date and the D. Mint mark for Denver represents one of the last issues of the wheat reverse design before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. While millions of these coins were produced and many remain in circulation today, what makes the coin we're examining special is not its baseline value, but rather the extraordinary circumstances of its survival, its error characteristics, and the collector frenzy surrounding rare variations of the 1958 issue. The 1958 D large date cent, in circulated, color-changed, rusty condition, might sound like a coin you would normally pass by, perhaps even dismiss as damaged or worthless. But here is where numismatics constantly surprises us. Coins that appear ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary if they embody unusual minting errors, rare die varieties, or exceptional provenance. In the case of the 1958 D, there are stories of coins that appeared degraded and corroded, but upon closer inspection, revealed double-die obverse features or other anomalies that were previously undocumented. The rusty surface itself, while normally a negative, sometimes provides clues that the coin has remained untouched and unaltered, which can excite collectors who value authenticity over beauty. Historically, the Lincoln wheat cent design originated in 1909, created by Victor David Brenner to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse features Lincoln's bust facing right, with the motto, "In God We Trust" above, the word liberty to the left, and the date to the right, accompanied by a mint mark when applicable. The reverse shows two stylized wheat ears framing the denomination 1 cent and the inscription United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. By 1958, this design had become iconic, and collectors were already anticipating its replacement. This anticipation has only fueled the interest in late-date wheat cents. The mintage of 1958 D cents was enormous, over 800 million pieces. But in the numismatic market, absolute rarity is not always the determining factor. Instead, specific varieties, errors, or conditions can catapult a common coin into the realm of the extraordinary. Among the most legendary Lincoln cents is the 1958 doubled die obverse, of which only 3 are confirmed to exist. These coins display dramatic doubling of the inscriptions, making them instantly recognizable and highly coveted. One such coin sold for over $1 million in auction, and it remains one of the great rarities of American numismatics. Now imagine the allure of finding a 1958 D example that combines unusual color changes, rust, circulation wear, and potential error features. Collectors chase these anomalies because they are conversation pieces, often unique, and because they embody the unpredictability of minting processes. The coin we're discussing today, in its circulated rusty condition, has achieved hammer prices in today's auction market surpassing $500,000, a staggering sum for a coin that most people would overlook. Why such a high value? First, the rarity of its error traits. Second, the provenance of the coin, with collectors competing for the chance to own what is effectively an irreplaceable piece. And third, the mystique of late wheat cents, which represent the end of an era in American coinage. Collectors have always shown strong interest in bookending issues, the first year and last year of a design. The 1958 D wheat cent is a last-year coin, and when it carries extraordinary features, the demand skyrockets. Rust and discoloration, usually detrimental, here add to the narrative. They indicate age, survival, and an uncleaned state. In numismatics, originality often trumps beauty. A coin that has been polished may lose thousands in value, while a rusty yet original coin can soar. The story matters as much as the strike. When presented at auction, the coin attracted intense bidding from advanced Lincoln cent specialists, investors, and even museums seeking to expand their collections. Bidding opened in the thousands and quickly escalated, with final prices cresting the $500,000 mark. Such results highlight the fact that numismatics is as much about passion as it is about money. Collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to secure a piece that is unique, storied, and historically important. And so, the 1958 D large-date wheat cent, with its rusty patina, stands as one of the most expensive circulated Lincoln cents ever sold. Proof that hidden treasures can still be found in the most unassuming of places.